Yo guys, Tornado here. How to ambient? I don't know. Why don't you ask someone who knows how to ambient? Um, Sounds. Let's talk about them. Sound selection is very, very important. And in fact, I think I don't need this one. Or maybe I do. Yeah, because that's about stretching. That's what I want to talk about today. Stretching, slowing down. I'll call everything stretching because it's just basically different algorithms of making the sounds longer. Slowing things down is like it's like the default algorithm. And oftentimes when I say stretch sounds, I mean pitching them down accordingly to their length being changed. That's what FL Studio does most of the time by default whenever you drop a sound. And it kind of, yeah, let's go through that actually. It's a hi-hat. It's cool. If we start stretching it, you see the difference, right? So FL Studio by default, while stretching, basically pitches down and slows down every sample. There are different algorithms. You can pick, this one's called resample. So yeah, you can actually stretch it before the sound will change. Might be useful in some cases. I like it for some more like mechanical style kind of sound. So a lot depends on the setup that you're going for. For instance, if you're going for some sort of a sci-fi ambient, this method of stretching would work better, unless you have a specific use case in mind. Then we have Stretch Pro, I think it's called. It sounds a little bit better, a little bit more natural, but gives you a little bit of a different feel for the texture of the sound itself. And also it has additional formant shifting capabilities. Okay, I'm sorry if you hear the kids laughing in the background, but I hope it's fun for you as well. And also pitch will differ. So playing with, sometimes, not always, but sometimes I like to play with the Stretch Pro. And changing pitch and changing format can drastically change how the sound actually performs and what it does, pretty much. So yeah, that's one of the fun ways to do it. Another way, you've all probably heard about the paulstretch thingy. I have a standalone script or whatever you want to call it. I use it more often than the VST version, but I think there is a VST version of it existing here. Okay, so yeah, we can drop some sort of a file. I'm getting rid of this guy. With this type of stretching, I have to, because of the way the plugin behaves, I have to use Edison to re-record audio. It's just going to be a more controlled way. Let's pick something. I don't know what. Samples. I think it's... Yeah. You get the idea. Basically, it turns into instant ambient pretty much anything. And you can pitch shift it. You can set a whole lot of things here, including the stuff that I don't fully understand with the way the spectral processing works here. Let's not loop, let it play once. Capture, it would capture and allow you to have an output file, but I like to have a recording session separately in a sort of very more resampling way. But you've heard how jagged and I don't know, distorted kind of the sound initially was, and now it transformed pretty much substantially. Frequency shift. We can turn any. You can see here are all the modules that the sound comes through. Filter, free filter, compressor. We can use any of them. We can configure them. But where's the main thing? 50 size, pitch shift, number of harmonics, bandwidths, frequency spread, tonal noise, filter low, loop crossfade length, sound start. Okay, stretch amount. This is the main point. Can go very, very long. Like we had several seconds. Now it turns into 44 minutes, 44 seconds of sound out of this loop. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, and you see it almost not moving. Let's decrease the amount of this to 2 minutes, or if it's minutes, maybe it's hours. I'm not sure. I'm bad at math, just like Grimes. So yeah. You saw it moved a little bit. We can make things shorter as well. Sometimes it gives its like distinct feel even when shortening, but everyone loves good old slowed down and stretched and reverbed versions of songs, so this is the easiest way to do it. For instance, I don't know, do I have some songs here that I've rendered out or something? Maybe this one. This might be interesting. Let's give it a shot with only one. So not stretching at all, just listening the original. Okay, give me a sec. It already stretches it pretty substantially. This is the original, and even with the non-stretched version, it still kind of processes it and like uses its algorithm to extract the more stretched version. And if we go for something like, I don't know, 5 times longer, it's gonna be interesting. I've added a reverb here to smooth it out a little bit. The idea is, I feel like it's a little bit of cheating. I rarely use paulstretch on like the full, more complex things because it's, first of all, it smoothes everything out and makes the sound kind of muddy, and most of the time in a not very pleasant way. Like paulstretch is cool when you have some specific sound, short sound, not a complex one. Like, let's say I'll have some sort of a... Do I have some melodic stuff? Yeah, I do. Okay. Okay, this is a prime example of that. ARPs, arpeggios. Let me quickly drop it into Edison. Something like that. Decent enough. I'm not willing to spend any more time. Now let's go here. We can get rid of that one now. And let's say I want to pulse stretch it. It's a simple enough sound. It's arpeggio, sure, but this is one distinct sound. The result will likely be much better. This is 2 times slower. Okay, so it's cool to have pulse stretch sounds as smaller layers and then arrange them into something bigger. Like, let's say I'll have Edison here. I'll resample this thing. Yep, I'll get rid of that. I would definitely want to, for this thing, to have a proper fade in and fade out. So, oh, one more kind of cheat code, if you will. Edison has an amazing blur tool. If you blur it like that, mix it like 100%. I think you also have to get some sort of yeah, empty space, because the blur will result in the sound generating left and right, so before and after the sound you have picked here. You'll see what I mean. Okay, we have reversed it. I'm putting the playhead here, even here, so that I can make more empty space in the end. Does it look like we have enough? Kind of does. So let's blur. Boom. You see how soft it became? It's kind of like a reverb, but not a reverb. It will sound differently. So I can get rid of this. I can get rid of that now. Let's hear it in action. Nice. That's much more pleasant than just straight up pulse stretch and leave it. Usually, especially if you have some low end in the pulse stretch, it's just gonna sound muddy and horrible. I don't know. I mean, that is seemingly an easy way to achieve something, but in most cases it just messes things up, in my opinion. I'd rather use the algorithms for stretching inside FL Studio rather than the pulse stretch thing. Sometimes when I really think I need some sort of a slowly evolving thing, and by slowly I mean like for several minutes, I make an arpeggio or I make a pad which opens the filter slowly up and down and then just render it. If I see that it's still too short, I might use paulstretch, but that will kind of get rid of a lot of a texture that the synth that I'm using initially has. Paulstretch smothers a lot of that. It's like it doesn't feel just as hi-fi as good, but you know, there is an aesthetic to paulstretch as well, and if it fits your vibe, if it fits your idea, absolutely use it, but don't overuse it. That's what I'm saying. Because like low effort stuff, it's easy to pick on, and it just I don't know, when you're a guy who's been making ambient music for I don't know 10, 20 years, and suddenly one of your tracks has like I don't know, just consists of two notes pitched differently, but it all sounds like it was a ball stretch thing and there's nothing more. It's like, dude, what the hell? It's not. I mean, most of the time it's not good. Sometimes it may be good, but in most cases, I think and I feel it's nah, it's not worth it. It's better to craft the track intentionally with the layers that you want and at least some complexity, rather than simulate complexity by just, you know, using pulse stretch and without any further processing. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about pulse stretch, but yeah, some people use it and some people use it very well. And of course, when stretching things out, reverb is most of the time needed, either to mask some imperfections or to fill the mishaps in the stereo field, because stretching algorithms do mess the stereo field depending on how the original sample was recorded. Another way of stretching is slowing things down, like I mentioned before. The default algorithm in FL Studio is not actually stretching the sounds, but slowing them. But I'll call it stretching anyway. Yeah. So let's slow things down. And what I mean by that is quite literally, we take any random sound, any random. That already seems quite slow. Yeah, let's go to the recorded stuff. For instance, I have a bunch of Zoom recordings, which is like which is where I store my field recordings. They're not very loud, but some are. Oh, I like this example very much. It's just a child's kid's toy. Seems like nothing special. It wouldn't fit in the dark ambient kind of aesthetics, right? Well, turns out it could. If we grab a segment of it, stretch it out really decent, maybe even further. You can already hear the atmosphere shifting towards the more low past feel, more mysterious, if I may say so. Things are happening more slowly. Things take their time. Things gain more weight because of the whole spectrum shifts downwards. That all adds up to the feeling of darkness, mystery. I don't know, something haunting, something eerie, maybe. And yeah, in context of like generally any dark topic, this could fit very well into some, I don't know, horror movie scene. Empty kids' playground, rusted metal, I don't know, not toys, what do you call them? Basically, the structures where kids go up and slide down slides. And the abandoned dark playground, and you hear some distant. Then you add some, I don't know, reverb, of course, maybe as well as a delay, kind of like so, and make it slower and probably less pronounced here. And we definitely need longer periods of like silence and noise here. I'm not gonna take it away because, like, look, we probably want something similar to this. And then again, I'm gonna wait before the next occurrence, and I will do exactly this. Also, what would help, that's not a cheat code, but something that some people do to the drums often. In this case, we don't have drums, we have impacts. It's not an impact in the usual sense, but it kind of has a bigger amplitude compared to the rest of the sound. And so we might want to lead with some pre-transient stuff into that to make it feel even more impactful. We could take some part of that, of this guy, let's say. Actually, you know what? I'm going to clone this one and I'm going to reverse it. This is the cheesy, easy, but also very neat trick to do. We'll pick some sort of a I already like that. I'll make, oh, whoops, not like this. I'll make it more, you know, precise. And I'll let it kind of increase the loudness naturally, but yeah, it's gonna be here. And it should roughly occur at the same time the, what do you call it, impact occurs. See how it sounds. Go for another one. Okay, maybe the second time we should use something different because it's way too similar to the previous one. But you get the idea. Let's find some other non-dark. Whatever it is. It's kind of percussive, which is also good. We can... one thing to note, when stretching things out, they become very low. All the spectrum shifts downwards. So you might want to be careful with that to not end up with the inaudible parts. That sounds like a kick drum, but we can actually hear it. We stretch it way too low. Oh, that actually might be cool. I like in this case, but okay. We start with something already being very low. Let me find something real quick. Oh, it's a good one. So it's train, and you can see the red is the darker hue of red, the lower the sound is. It's quite low. If we stretch it a lot, it's not going to be very audible. Like we can hear the mid noise, which was high noise previously, but the actual main tone of the low end, we almost don't hear it. And especially if people will be listening to your stuff on, I don't know, cheaper headphones or generally speakers that do not represent the low end very well, they're gonna miss it like this. And that is the stuff that takes quite a bit of energy from quite a bit of headroom in your mix. So you got to be careful with that. What you can do in that case, what I usually do in that case at least, we have either pitch shifters or frequency shifters. Frequency shifters even more interesting. I find them interesting at least. 200 hertz might not be enough. Let's go for, I don't know, 5K. Oh, that's a bit too much. Maybe 1K. Okay, there you go. Actually, no, 200 hertz would be enough still. And now we have stretched out. We have the similar low pass feel, but the most energy comes not from the very like bottom end of the spectrum, but somewhere in the mids, where it is much more audible. Yeah, that is another thing to note. And with this guy, I don't know. I think we've overstretched it, but it sounds still quite good. And that reverb tail, which I did not expect there to exist. Yeah, this is actually pretty awesome. I might as well save it and use it somewhere. I did not expect this guy to be that good. So as you can see, there are some happy accidents, and while stretching things is like seemingly very simple and easy to do, it doesn't always have to be bland. You can spice it up with some stereo effects like delay reverb, the most go-to ones. You can do some pre-transients like in this case. You can overstretch things for like quite unexpected results. You can also go the opposite way. Let's say we have this low-end thing, this rumble, this train noise. Slow, fine, good. What if we go the other way around and not stretch, but instead, I don't know, shrink? Would it be the right way to say it? But we make it shorter, therefore increasing the frequency, shifting it up, basically. Let's shift it even more. Okay, maybe further. It's quite short now. What if we shift it slightly more even and like open the hole? Oh, so the long file became something very small. That could be some sort of a upper layer, upper texture in some cases. Of course, further processing, a little bit of depth to it, maybe some chorus, maybe something else. But yeah, that's generally the idea. Slowing things down makes them feel darker, just because we are getting rid of the high end, and they also gain more energy in the low end, which we perceive as more powerful. Yep, to not overstretch the video, I'm gonna finish this part here for now. And next time I'll be looking at more of a synthesis way of approaching sound design. Hope this was a little bit helpful at least. I know it is chaotic, that's the way I usually work with music. But yes, stretching, slowing things down, it is a very useful tool, and especially some of the DAWs have much more algorithms. And all you have to do is just use it. See you next time. Cheers.